78.6 Positive Vibes Radio. Positive Vibes with Winsome. Hopefully you can hear me. Sorry, I just ran upstairs again. 78.6 FM. Positive Vibes with Winsome. It's good to be back. This is my first Saturday back. Had to run up some stairs. Poor young lady downstairs. I'm backing out of the parking lot, trying to get in here, and all I heard was poof. I was like, oh my gosh. Now, if you guys don't know that feeling, that's that sick feeling you get if you hit somebody by your car. So downstairs, festival going on, and sure enough, boop. I was like, no, not today. Have you ever had one of those weeks where it feels like you've been hit by a truck? Yeah, that was my week. That was my week. Flying in from England over this past weekend and this past week, first week back, and starting to realize, like, life happens when you're not around, right? Conversations, decisions, movements, actions, and you can only control what's within your control. And I think that's the lesson for me this week, right? You can only control what's within your control. And I say that a lot because I tell that to a lot of people when they come in and they're sitting and they're discussing what's going on with their lives and how they're handling situations. And the first thing I tell them, you can only control what's within your control. So I ask, what is it that's within your control right now? What can you do? What haven't you done? What is something that you're knowing needs to happen? How are you making that happen? These are the things that I ask others. So these are the things I had to ask myself over the past couple of days. Okinawa was beautiful. I mean, it was wonderful to be back. I spent 4 days in England, 3 days really in England, and I'll tell you what, it was chilly. I went out to a food truck there, and if you guys don't know, I just came from teaching RAF Lakenheath. So a shout out to Royal Air Force Lakenheath Mission Support Group. The chief, thank you for flying me out, Chief Rosa. It was an amazing experience. Wonderful people, really great, really kind, very loving. We did 3 days of seminars, and it was probably one of the greatest experiences I've had in a long time. And I know there are more coming, right? So you look at exactly what you've built, and you get in front of, I'll just give you a scene. So I go, of course, we have our material, our training material from Trainer's Warehouse, and throwing the ball around. Normally, we throw the ball, you get questions, you get answers, but this particular group, as soon as I threw the ball, the thumb ball, and they started answering their questions, I realized, hey, this group, they're not holding back. Very vulnerable, very open, very loving with their answers, very intentional. And so I listened, right? I sat there and I listened to them, and I paid attention to everyone's answers. Of course, we provide conversation, but that was probably one of the most intriguing experiences throwing the ball around and getting the answers that I've had in a long time. The very first person was telling me, I believe something along the lines of, he knows that he's not living in his purpose. The very next person was talking about they're trying to find work-life balance. And the third person was talking about they just feel stuck where they are in their life. So the work-life balance one, you guys know, we talk about that all the time. There's no such thing. There's going to be times where family's going to need more of you. There's going to be times where your job needs more of you. And there's going to be a time when you need more of you. Everybody talks about this balance. It's not a balancing act. That'll drive you crazy. You got to kind of flow with it, navigate it as it comes. But the thing is to make sure your priorities are in order. That's what I told that young lady at that time. And I was like, wow, it's really good that they're getting these questions out now. They're very vulnerable, very open. And to let me know what kind of group I had. So I'll tell you the setup. So I get there. Now, first of all, it's 32 hours of travel. Let me start with that. 32 hours of travel. So we're going from Okinawa to mainland Japan. From mainland Japan, Tokyo, I'm flying to Los Angeles. From Los Angeles, I'm flying to Heathrow Airport from Los Angeles. So I get there, and I'll tell you what, man, that was an amazing trip getting to Los Angeles. I slept like a big baby. But I'm going to tell you what happened in Los Angeles that was special. I'm going backwards to go forward in the story, I promise. So I get to Los Angeles, and the first flight is delayed. And, you think it's going to be 20, 30 minutes. They show you on the clock. It's only delayed by a couple of minutes. That 20 minutes turns into an hour. That 1 hour turns into 2 hours. Now, remember, I'm going from Los Angeles to London from Okinawa. You can only imagine how long that flight is, right? So I'm sitting there. That 1 hour turned to 2. That 2 hours turned to, all right, it's time to board. So we were delayed 2 hours already. We get on the plane. I won't say which airline. They're great. I'm just going to tell you a story. We get on the plane, and sure enough, we get comfortable. I got a pillow where I'm in business class. Pretty cool. Got a pillow, some leg space, right? I'm in that front row seat that's by in front of the wall in front of you. So you got nothing but leg space, right? But you got to really lean in to mess with the little monitor on the wall. And within 20, 25 minutes of sitting there, the stewardess goes over the loudspeaker and she says, "Forgive us. This train has repairs that we're not taking care of. You got to get off the plane." So we get off the plane. And for me, I had to find out my connection flight, what's the change. They told us to stay in the area, right? To stay in the same location to get updates. So I sat there. I didn't want to leave and go to the lounge and then come back. So I sat there and I waited. And I went up to the lady and I said, "Hey, ma'am, I'm traveling from Japan, going all the way to London. Is there any flight that'll get me there, around the same time that I was originally supposed to be there?" So she does some clicking, and she says there's one. It's going to be, she said like a number 155, right? Whatever the gate was. And so I'm like, okay, that's, I think we're in gate like 4 or 5. She said it's going to be in gate 155. So you can imagine how much I had to move, right? So I was like, okay, I'm positive. I'm like, let's go. Let me just, as long as I'm going to get there on time. My goal was to get to London, lay down, get some rest, think about what I need to teach, go out there and give those folks everything I had. I go to gate 155, and it's either 155 or 153. 155 will go for this story's sake. And I sit down, and I'm looking, I'm very patient, and the young lady behind the desk, she says, "Winsome Cully, can you come to the counter, please?" I'm thinking, oh, come on, don't tell me my ticket got canceled because, the other lady was supposed to plug some stuff in the system to get me on this flight. So I go up to the desk and I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." Again, kind, smiling, positive, it's me. And she says, "We wanted to give you a new ticket." And I'm thinking because it's a different plane, I got to get a new ticket because it's going to be a different seat. It may not have the same seat arrangement. I get the ticket, and it's a first-class ticket. And I was like, wow. And the lady goes, "We just want to tell you we appreciate you. At the previous gate, they put a note in here. Thank you for being kind, patient with us, and understanding. And we hope you enjoy your flight. And thank you for your service." So I'm cheesing, right? I'm on this airline about to sit in first class for the first time in my life. And I thought to myself, you didn't do anything special. You were just kind. You were humble. You were genuine about your conversations, and then this is how the world rewards you. And I want to say something that was really cool was the note that she put in there. I wish I could have seen it, right? I took a picture of it. But I posted about it. I was like, I've never in 45 years of life flew first class. It was a special and a beautiful outcome. But what I was focused on the entire time was I can't control what happened with this plane. I can't control what time I get in now. It's not none of this is up to me. All I can control is my character, how I behave, and how I respond. It's not this young lady's fault behind the counter that this plane was delayed, so be kind to her. She's doing her job. It's not this lady's fault that the gate that I got to go out of now is way on the other end. Be kind. When I got to the other end and was continuing to just maintain my character, be positive, thinking about what books I'm going to listen to on the plane, and I found out I got a first class seat. And let me tell you, if you've never flown first class, my friends tease, they're like, you're not going to want to go back. But let me tell you, when the seat reclines all the way back and you can lay there with the pillow, the real pillow too, and a blanket, oh man, it was the most comfortable flight. I can't even tell you what was going on because I slept most of it. It was a great time, man, a great adventure getting there. I'll tell you a little bit more about the England trip when we get back. Got a chance to see Cambridge. I'll tell you about that. And it's just an amazing opportunity. I didn't want to leave Japan. I'll say that right now. I love Okinawa. I love Japan. So I didn't want to leave for too long. But the timing of this trip was perfect. It aligned with what we had going on at work. It aligned with what we had going on in general. And it was just a wonderful trip. So I'll tell you guys more about that when we get back after this break. But I definitely want to tell you that the one thing I had to focus in on is you can only control what's within your control. I think there's a quote that talks about you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails, right? 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winsome. We'll be back talking about this trip to England right after this messages. Thank you. .6 FM, Positive Vibes of Winston. We're back. We're talking about the trip to England last week, man. Again, hey guys, I spent a couple days in RAF Lakenheath, which was in England. I got a chance to get away from the island. Of course, I missed the island. First and foremost, the weather there was cold, man. And one day it was freezing. I was at what they call a food truck and getting, I want to say it was tacos or chicken, whatever it was. And remember standing in line shivering. I was like, man, we ain't had weather like that in Okinawa. It was probably one of the craziest scenes, man. And I had like a little light jacket thinking I was going to be okay because I'm coming from an island, right? But I'll tell you what, man, it was a beautiful experience. I was telling you guys about the first class flight that they put me on because of the plane complications, flying all the way from Los Angeles to London. Best sleep I had that entire week was on that plane. That's crazy, right? So I land in Heathrow, and I got to spend a little bit of time in the area going downtown London while I was out there and ate. I forget the name of the chicken place, but it was pretty good. I don't know if it was in Soho or whatever that little area down there is, but it was pretty cool, man. Just seeing the different cultures and the melting pot of people and just the city life, man. It was downtown London. I didn't do the London Eye and all the other touristy stuff. I still needed to rest. I was just flying in. I just went down there just to eat and recover, right? Reset. And I got to going back to the hotel and trying to get my mind together for what I want to do the next day, what I needed to do to get back to the base. That's a trip in itself. I didn't have my energy drinks, right? I drink energy drinks normally in the morning. I'm trying to drink coffee now. So my energy's a little different even today than it normally is. So I go and get to Lakenheath, to England. I'm going to tell you, the reception was just amazing. Even the customer service at the hotel when I checked in, just so kind, attentive, caring. And I checked in, I relaxed, I slept, and I had to teach that next day. And that's where we started. We started throwing the ball around, and people were vulnerable and open. And I told the people, I said, hey, man, I'm here just for a few days. But I'm going to tell you that the beautiful part about that 3 days that stuck out to me, yes, they're vulnerable from the jump. People were very open and kind, loving, very forthcoming. And we're talking about the first class was Leadership 360, right? The second class was, what was it? Second class was Emotional Intelligence Habits, if I'm not mistaken, or Resilience 2.0. But those are the three. We talked about blind spots and biases too with Resiliency 2.0. So ultimately, it was a cover down, man. 3 days, 5 seminars, a lot of love. And I remember being on stage and seeing the group from the first day. Now watch this. This is all voluntary. Of course, it's the mission support group for this base, so it's a large group. This is all voluntary. They don't have to show up, first of all. But I noticed that the group from that first morning got bigger in the afternoon. And then the second day, it was an even larger group. So you had the same core people with some more people straggling in. And then on the third and final day, it was the same group, new faces, and that was special to me. I'm going to tell you why that's special to me and why that meant the world. It's because they didn't have to be there. But the information and the energy was so important to them that they kept coming back. That if you ever need feedback as a facilitator, an instructor, or someone who does what we do, that was the feedback. That's all I needed. I knew that I was doing something right because they were coming back. I knew that I was feeding them something that they wanted to take away during this session or these sessions. So that meant the world to me. We do that here. We have classes. You register online, you show up or you don't. But to have it to where these people are blocking off 3 hours of their time in the morning and then another 2.5 hours in the afternoon, 3 hours or 3 days straight, right? So listen to what I'm saying. That's 5 hours on Monday, 5.5 to 6 hours, 5.5 to 6 hours on Tuesday, and then another 3 hours on Wednesday, right? Oh no, we went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But regardless, 6 hours, 3 hours. And you keep coming back. We're doing something right. The Trainer's Warehouse, they have this new session closers ball, which I'm going to tell you what. So if it wasn't just the folks being in a room that gave me feedback, it was throwing this ball around, and it's the perfect ball if you guys are facilitators or instructors and you want to hear about what the class really thought, right? They got the ball and it's asking the questions like, what did you take away? What did you learn? What's something that you'll remember for the next time? Listen to me. All of this, like the answers they gave were so wow. And it was concepts that I hadn't, in the last day, were concepts that I hadn't heard from said since the first day. So they carried that information with them. They carried those conversations with them into all the way to the end. So it all kind of came together for these folks. And that was special, right? Now, I appreciate every audience. I appreciate every group. We got large groups, which we have coming up in the next 2 months. We have small groups. But I'll tell you, it's that, the reception, the love, the kindness, that is what keeps me doing what I'm doing. Someone asked me during that session, what motivates? How do you motivate yourself? It's a wonderful question. How do you motivate yourself? And I said, I always got to remember my why. And what some people may not realize, may not believe, and may not see is not everything goes right or the way that I want it to. And there's times where I just have to adjust sails. And sometimes I may not want to, or may not feel like, or may not like it, to be 100% honest with you. But at the end of the day, it's what needs to happen to move forward or continue moving. And in that atmosphere, in that environment, those are the things that I love to do. I love to teach, coach, facilitate, mentor. I love to see that someone can apply the lessons that they had received when they leave. I love to know that people are growing from the lessons that we taught and not stuck where they were. It's a blessing, and I can't wait to get back next year. We're going to do this on an annual basis, right? So I'll be back next year to teach RAF Lakenheath again in April. As long as my teammate is there and the invite exists, I can't wait to get to that group and teach something else. 78.6 FM, positive vibes of Winsome. I was just telling you the story about coming back from England, flying there first class. The first flight coming back was first class. That was awesome. But the second flight from LA all the way back to Japan, that was normal. I was in the business class seat, sitting there trying to get comfortable. It's the weirdest thing because I had big pillows and laying down before, but now I'm like, right? It's truly an experience to go and cast your light outside of your normal stomping grounds. And you feel appreciated differently because you know these people know what you bring here, right? Okinawa, Kadena, the bases on this island, they know what we bring. They know what we teach. They're used to our energy. When you go to other places, other bases, other countries, and you get that new energy, right? They're receiving it for the first time, and you see their eyes light up, and you see the reception, and it just warms your heart. And so I'm really, really appreciative of the opportunity. Thank you again to Chief Rosa there at Lakenheath for the invite and for trusting me with your people. I didn't bring my phone today. I was running upstairs, and I had a little message I was going to read to you, but I just want to say thank you. I appreciate the opportunities. I appreciate the trust, and I appreciate the return invite. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you guys again. I'm already counting down, and I'm going to close on that when it comes to Lakenheath. So what else happened? Oh, it's been a wild week. A lot of changes going on at work. You know, everybody got great ideas of what they want to do with different moves, right? So a lot of changes going on at work. I'm kind of bracing myself and mentally preparing for those things happening in the day job. So I call it, right? On the day job, kind of mentally preparing for that. I got some furniture coming tomorrow, so I got to get my place ready for that when I get off the radio today. Still want to hit the gym. I ain't been in the gym like I normally do within about 2 weeks. So, you know, I'm over here. This is the month of physical well-being, and I need to get back on mine, right? Before I don't want to coach others if I'm not coaching myself. So I need to get back on my physical well-being, physical game. What else is happening? The weather today is really beautiful outside. I'm probably going to hit up the lighthouse for a little bit while I'm washing clothes today, and then come back and get my place ready for furniture. And that's pretty much it, man. I ain't going to lie to you. This was a very unique week for me because it's my first week back on the radio after a couple of weeks. My first week back in my apartment, first week back at work. So I'm just trying to adjust. Trainer's Warehouse has a new thumb ball. It's the emotional intelligence ball. So if you guys haven't seen that one yet, check it out. They also have the building resilience ball, which was huge as well with the crowd. So thumb ball, the Trainer's Warehouse, building resilience, emotional intelligence, and also the, what was the last one? Session closers. Those balls went over really well. So if I didn't get a chance to email you and say thank you, Miss Landay, Trainer's Warehouse, thank you, team. They were great. The products were awesome, and they went over even better than I could have expected. So thank you for that. Atlas Altman, hey, my friend, I want to say thank you for the message for the Leadership 360 class. Everybody loved it. It was really cool to have that and be able to include you in the lesson. Chief Juan Lewis, the fired up chief. Hey, thank you for your message for the Leadership 360 course. And speaking about your leadership tip, and everybody always loves to see you. The cool thing about having you being a part of that is I know you were stationed there in Lakenheath before. So thank you for reaching out with your video and being able to allowing us to play that for the audience. They loved it. You can see the smiles in the room. Some of the people that probably remembered you from your tenure were there, but regardless, it was a great turnout and a great reception from your video as well. Who else provided a video for that training? I think that's about it. Shout out to, of course, Flatter Leadership Academy, Two Roads Leadership. We had the opportunity to really speak on coaching, right? A different way of leading. And crazy, again, it's never happened to me. We picked on a person in the room. We picked someone every time. Actually, I didn't pick. The individual volunteered. And I'm going to tell you about their experience with the coaching in a second when it came to, the opportunity to coach someone. We do what we call a learn, see, and give when it comes to the gift of coaching. So I'm going to show you exactly what this person, I'll tell you how it transpired when we come back from this break. But again, guys, it's good to be back. Had a great experience. All of the tools, training tools, activities, and kits I had went over really well. And I'll tell you about their coaching experience when we come back right after this break. 78.6 FM. .6 FM, positive vibes of Winsome. So what happened next was we did the Learn, See, Give, Flatter Leadership Academy, Two Roads Leadership. We do a section where we teach what coaching is, and then we do an example. So we bring somebody up on the stage and we coach them. We've prepped the audience. We tell them, hey, think of something that you would like to be coached through. So that's literally how we prep them. Think of something that you would like to be coached through, right? So we had an individual who had something they want to be coached on. So I brought him up and we talked. And I was asking him powerful coaching questions. A lot of it is listening, right? I didn't try to active listen, which is always have to respond to what they said. No, I listened, gave it space, and came up with a question that aligned with what he was trying to communicate and helped his frame of thought, right? So thought processes, should I say. So he sat there. Now, I've seen this before. Watch this. I've watched, even before doing this, I've watched Dr. J.R. Flatter start one of these sessions. And by the end of this session, he's had someone crying, recommending they go sit down with somebody. I mean, I've seen this get very emotional. I've also seen this happen with my friend Lauren, who very similar. We did it. We taught the lesson. We got to the C portion. And my friend Lauren, she's another coach, and she's our lead here in this region. She's done the same thing. Got someone that got very emotional and the person's crying. Like, it's literally, it threw me away or threw me off seeing it, because I'm like, wow, this is what a coaching session can really be. It's very revealing, peeling past that first layer and getting these people to think for themselves. It was brilliant to see them in action. I do coaching sessions all the time, but I'm going to tell you, this was the first time in England that within minutes, someone was in tears. And I started and I was like, hey, let's talk about it. And this person was dealing with identity, right? Self-worth. right? And steps, next steps, like a lot of things that they were struggling with. And again, remember, coaching, we're not mentoring. We're asking questions. And the first one is, what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Along those lines. And he opens up and he's like, yeah, well, I just kind of feel like my light is fizzling out when it comes to my career. So I listened to him, and as he's telling me what he's saying, like a lot of it was he felt like he had more responsibility early off in his career. And now that he's later into his career, he feels like the responsibility and the actual his role has been diminished, not heightened at all. There's no growth. Feels like he's kind of stuck. Now I was listening to him. I barely asked any questions. I asked him like maybe 4 questions, powerful questions to make him think. And again, he's driving. I'm hearing what he's telling me. So my questions are what is the root cause of that? What's really going on? Like really just kind of peeling back what he's saying. Again, he's driving. And at the end of it, my man was very emotional, in tears. He was choked up. It's not because of what I did. This is some of the coaches out there. It's not because of me. It's because of what was going on within him. All we're doing is we're bringing those things to surface. We're bringing those things to light for him. We're just helping you highlight what you're trying to connect. And we're using this line of questioning to help you get there. We're not steering you. You're steering. These are things that you've probably been all mixed up in your mind and kind of all over the place with, and now you have somebody there just to kind of be in the passenger seat with you. And so for the C portion where we're showing this to all these other people, my man was choked up. Now, of course, everybody's bought in. They realize the power behind coaching. Like this is a real process. This really can work. And so it was really one of my proudest moments, not because my man got choked up, but because I was able to highlight the power of coaching in a few minutes. This was within 5 minutes of a conversation. And so going from there, I even had to cut that session off early because we were going to do about 10 to 15 minutes just to show everybody. But because I saw how emotional he was getting, I cut it off. And I said, does anybody have questions? This is what it looks like, right? And I promise you, when I'm looking out in the audience, like eyes were like, whoa. Because even as I'm teaching it and speaking to the slides and addressing what coaching is, to see it in action and to see a powerful coaching session and to be able to present that was wow. You're talking about meaningful opportunities. That one was wow for me. I didn't expect that. It's usually fun, right, to do it and to show it, and I always keep things light. You guys know me. I always keep things positive. But that day, wow, it was real. And when I say real, that one, I felt that. I felt it to my core. So I got past that. I wanted to share that piece with you. We did that one, Learn, See, Give. We talked about coaching. A lot of people were intrigued. And again, people kept coming back. Lakenheath was an amazing visit. It was an amazing trip. Amazing people. And I couldn't wait to come back and talk about it. What's next? Thank you to Rose Leadership. Thank you to all the folks who contributed. Trainers Warehouse, Atlas Altman, Chief Juan Lewis. That meant the world to them, and it meant the world to me. So thank you so much. What's next on the agenda? We're going to San Antonio for the Inspire Conference. The Inspire Conference is one where we get an opportunity to speak to 3 different career fields, military and civilian, and it's going to be in my old stomping grounds. If you guys don't know, I spent a lot of time in San Antonio, Texas, for my career. I spent a lot of time down there as a young man and then a little bit older, and now I'm here in Japan going back to my old stomping grounds. So I'm excited about that. I'm really looking forward to returning and seeing what's going on in San Antonio. There's been a lot of building up. Traffic's just not the same. It's busy out there now. Of course, nobody I worked with, barely anyone is still around, maybe a couple of people. But I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to kind of, when you go to places that you grew up, or you go to places where your old stomping grounds, and You go when you're a new person, but you're kind of, it's nostalgic. Is that the word I'm looking for? It's nostalgia. I want to go back and feel it. See it again. The crazy part is every time I leave Okinawa, I miss it. You know when you know some place is home, right? Every time I leave Oki, I miss it. And that, to me, speaks volumes. Like, I know this is where I'm supposed to be. First thing I did, first place I went was go get me a burger over at Atabi's down in Gala when I got back. So Atabi's, I had to go get my burger. Then I got on with the rest of my day, right? I went to the Lighthouse first week back. What else did I do? That was like really top of my list to knock out and do. And I'm really enjoying being back here. I got to kind of reset my mind and just reset in general, because literally jet lag didn't end until Wednesday, and it's Saturday, right? I'm still trying to get my bearings. So this is a pretty crazy week for me, because as soon as you land, it's go, go, go with what we do. I spent last night with Camp Foster, the neonatal intensive care unit, if I'm getting that right, NICU. Shout out to Lieutenant Lovelace for the invitation and for the group. I hope they enjoyed emotional intelligence. This was later at night. It's like 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Try to go and get as much energy as I could. The laughs and the positive vibes. I hit them heavy with EQ because it's important. And I can't wait to go back and have opportunities to teach more with this team. Really great team. What else? Before that, Marines. Me and Sierra Ordaz, my FTAC NCO, one of them. She went with me. We taught 4 Marines. It wasn't a lot of them, NCOs, brand new. And we talked about resilience, well-being, and you know, basically taking care of themselves. If you guys know Resiliency 2.0, based on the book Happier No Matter What. So we talked about that. She did a great job. Really proud of Sierra for getting out of her comfort zone and coming out there with us. And she's about to go be a TI, a training instructor with the black hat down in BMT, basic military training. So getting out and getting in front of people, she's doing a great job. She's already used to doing it with our first term enlisted course, but getting out now in front of folks, I think is really a great opportunity for her. So we're really excited to take her with us everywhere we go. Let me see what else happened this week. This week was crazy, right? A lot of information overload. I can honestly say that. It was a lot of information overload. And I really wanted to kind of take Friday and kind of sort through it, comb through it, but I still haven't. I'm going to do that a lot today and let some things go that are not within my control. And then on Sunday, tomorrow, of course, like I told you, I'm getting furniture in, so I got to take care of that. But it was really an information overload. And I guess it was a lot of character revealed this week. For me, I'm paying attention to people differently than I did before I left. I think some of these experiences kind of grow you, right? Or should I say some of these experiences kind of grow you. So when you go through things, you see things differently, and you get away from it, and you separate it from it, and you come back to it, it looks different, feels different, sounds different. And that's kind of what happened. Nothing was the same when I got back from England. And it's weird. I'm gonna be honest with you. As I'm speaking out loud about it right now, everything's different. Everything feels different. Everything, the senses are different. People that I'm dealing with, I see them different. It's been a weird week. And so I'm taking today to kind of reflect on that. What is it, right? What is it that's changed? And what needs to change? How do I approach tomorrow? Another question I'm asking myself is what's within my control and what's not? What's really worth fighting for and what's not? What's your focus? What's your why? And what's next? So I really needed space on Friday from some things, and I took yesterday. I got a massage at Quran Relaxation. It was a wonderful massage, great job. And then I came home and kind of just did some brainless stuff. I just kind of needed to disconnect from the world for a second. So you hear me when I'm telling you this, very vulnerable with you right now. We're human. And sometimes
when you're a human being, you start sorting through and combing through your experiences, your day, your week, and you start realizing that some things are off, right? And some people just keep navigating their day like nothing. They pay attention, they catch it, but then they move. So they don't ever take time to reflect on it. But for me, that's important to kind of figure out where all the disconnects are. And I think I've done a lot of that in the last 2 days. And now I'm getting to the point where it's, okay, now what's in my control and what's not? Some things are very frustrating, but at the same time, I know that it's important to be patient, to give yourself grace, and to be consistent in your character. I think when you're moving too fast and you don't stop and you don't pause and think about it, your character becomes questionable because you're not acting within your own normal ID. And you don't want to respond the wrong way because what you put out in the universe, you can't bring back. You can't get it back once it's out there. So these things have been very important to me. That's why I took Friday to kind of reset. I've just been moving, boom, boom, boom. England, back to work, back to teaching late nights, coming. I got all these moves going on, radio show, furniture. I mean, I needed to pause. Movements at work, decisions that were made while I was gone. So many things happening. And it's really incumbent to me right now to pause, to think about it, to pay attention to people and how they're acting, who's doing what, who's not doing what, and then move from there. I can only control what's within my control. And the only person that I can control is me. It's not what happens to you. It's how you respond. And I say this to the audience. You can only control what's within your control. Same message we started with. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winsome. We'll be right back after this break. .6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winsome. Hey, so being mindful. I think being mindful of what we've been talking about since the beginning of this session, right? Knowing what's within your control and what's not. And being able to focus on only what's within your control. Being mindful of what's going on around you. Being patient. Being genuine. Maintaining your character. And being kind, not just to others, but to yourself. Remember what you put out in that world, you can't bring back. It's out there. It's in the universe, what the world sees, right? I like Two Roads Leadership has the story you tell about yourself, the story others tell about you, and the story the world tells about you. And it's different, right? Three different ways of perceiving it, receiving it, and reviewing not just from your lens, from the lens from others, and the role that you are portraying. That's what I said, the way the world sees you, right? The role that you are portraying throughout. Now, I know my audience is vast. I know I have a responsibility to people. And I know that it's very incumbent upon me to always be positive. And I try always to find the positives and the negatives, anything I'm doing, right? The story, what did I learn? Oh, man, I'll tell you, what did you learn? That's one of my favorite questions. Not just to ask others, but to ask myself. I want to say thank you to the folks who trust me with their story. On Friday, I had an opportunity. On Friday, we had an opportunity to recognize some people from this first quarter of the year that did some amazing things. And I'm a firm believer, no matter what happens next, no matter what happens with the center, no matter what happens with the setup and the way that we are aligned right now in Okinawa at the McDaniel Center, I will tell you one of my dreams and visions was to create an award for someone who's doing special things for others. Now, you guys know my role model, person who I've always followed since I was a child, teen, old enough to read, whatever it was. It was Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And one of Dr. King's messages is very special to me. And it's the one where he's speaking of, what are you doing for others? He speaks on how it's the world's most urgent question. And so I paid attention to folks who, through our programs and through our mission, I watched who were doing things for others, not for the recognition, not for the awards, but who have the character to build for other people, who wanted to get out there and make it to navigate others, from career to personal to just opportunities for others. Things that I've always tried to build. I was paying attention to who else was doing that. And 5 people stood out. And you know where I go after this show. Every Saturday I go to the Zampa Lighthouse. So they have these beautiful glass engraved things that they sell. And I spoke to the staff there. Of course, I had a translator with me. I said, I want to create an award for Kadena, and I want to give these away to the winners. And they were all for it. So imagine my favorite place having something that can be representative or represent the lighthouse. 4 or 5 amazing people doing wonderful things over the first quarter to receive this in front of their peers and in front of, our leadership. And I will tell you this, I thought of it and I wanted this to be something special, and to see it happen on Friday, I'll say that there's certain things that no one can take away from you. And one of the things, especially if it's genuine, is your heart. And I watched as these 4 guys, or 4 people, because one of them was sick, 4 people stood up there to accept these awards and said some quick things about themselves and who they are. And 3 of them were very young. And this is a room full of people, standing room only. And it was just amazing. It's such a wonderful feeling to see how happy they were. To see leadership smile at them, their leadership. To see their peers in the room just eyes wide open, like, wow, this is real. This can happen. We can do this. And I joke when I talk to them. Like, I still remember our first conversations with all 5 of these individuals when they were telling me what they were trying to build, and 2 of them that were a part of what we were building. And I remember saying, hey, we're doing this for others, man, so let's give it everything we have. And I remember seeing them in action and seeing them give everything they had. So I really, really felt no matter what happened this week, no matter how jet lagged I was, no matter how tired I was on Monday and getting through Tuesday and powering through Friday, right? Or Thursday, which was the late night teaching. That moment at the McDaniel Center, seeing the Zampa Lighthouse staff, Miss Rika-san, there with the McDaniel Center team, our leadership, and these 4 individuals, 5 total, but 1 couldn't make it, being recognized for caring and being people of great character during the first quarter. for building for others selfless tasks and missions. It was something that I'll never forget. And we had the lighthouse playing in the background, shown in the background, and being able to put the two things that I love together for the first time, the Zampa Lighthouse and the McDaniel Center. And the award is called the Lighthouse Beacon Award. Because as you process, navigate, and get through your week, if you are helping others, if you are being a beacon of light to others, you're guiding others, helping them navigate life, personal and professional, you're being a beacon to them. So what lighthouses do, they shine their light, cast their light for others to help them navigate safety. And these individuals were being beacons of light for the first quarter, and I'm super proud of them. And so glad that I got to celebrate with them their accomplishments, and to see the room full of people and leadership there and their bosses, and it was just wonderful to see their smiles. But this is what we have the ability to do right now. And I'll never forget this. I'll never forget those moments, those smiles, that feeling, the energy in the room. And I was scrambling. Again, that's one of those mornings where I was running to the gate, getting a pass to get Miss Rika-san on, going back, had a rental car, ran into the center. But when it was all said and done, this is exactly what I did. I said, I didn't cough, but I did do a deep breath. Because we did it. It was a vision, it was a dream, it was a goal, and it became reality. And we took the action steps to make it real. So for everybody that supported Thursday's event, for the 3, 4, 5 winners, and for the Lighthouse Beacon Award, I'm so proud, so grateful, and I'm really excited about what we do next. 78.6 FM Yomitan, positive vibes of Winston. Today's message, a lot of it was, you can only control what's within your control. You can't control the force of the wind, the direction of the wind, but you can control your sail. You adjust. And you maintain character. You be kind. You be polite. You don't let situations take you out of your headspace. We're all human. It's going to happen. Can't allow ourselves to get emotionally hijacked. I know in some recent things, it's happened. I've had to recover myself. It's going to happen. But how do you regroup? How do you come back? And how do you refocus? And I promise you, I don't teach you anything I don't have to practice myself. 78.6 FM, positive vibes with Winston. I'm really proud, man. Proud of y'all, excited that summer's coming, right? Furniture tomorrow, getting ready for it. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. You're going to tune in, I promise, new energy, man. I know I'm just getting over all this jet lag, but I'm excited about next week already. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about yet, but I can't wait to be back in the booth with you. See you next week. You are loved. There's nothing you can do about it.